Okay.
All right, good. All right, well, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Meeting of the Richmond Amateur Radio Club is now in session. Let's see, I guess we'll go ahead and everybody's pretty much got their names up, so we know who everybody is. So we don't need to really go around and have everybody introduce themselves. I'm looking the N4 NOY, NQY rather. Um, okay, let's go ahead and skip that part. We'll just go ahead and get started on the meeting. The approval of the minutes is the first thing we need to do. Does anybody have any questions or corrections or anything to the minutes that came out in the newsletter? Okay, well, if everybody's okay with the minutes, I'll ask that somebody go ahead and make a motion to
I'll
approve them.
motion.
Okay, who seconds? Okay, everybody in favor, signal by raising your hands. Okay, anybody opposed? All right, good, then the minutes stand. All right, Ken, I'll turn it over to you for our treasurer's report.
Okay, we started the month with $16,359.03. We had, let's see, the school picked up, let's see, 5, 8, 11 people. And then we had dues come in for, let's see, dues. Well, about 3, 4, 5 people. So we came in with $319, and then we paid for our storage garage. For me, doing about $3 worth of testing with PayPal so that we could get that active. And then we had to pay PayPal for the people that did use it, which was $5.28 for that. And then even though we're not meeting, I still have to print some stuff off, and I needed some ink. So $83.19 for ink. So it's $137.47 of expenses for the month. So we made some money, and we're at $16,540.56.
Okay.
So the only thing that happened odd from my point of view is the announcement I sent out about the fact that we offered PayPal. A couple people thought they needed to pay their dues, which is why the second announcement came out. And they very graciously, the people who did send in PayPal, said just apply it for 1 more year. So we got a couple people that paid for an extra year already. So
okay,
we're set for that.
All right. Any new members tonight?
Yeah, we got 3 new people. Alan C. S. And he is KO4 OCD. Hopefully he doesn't have OCD, but anyway, he's a technician. We have Philip Roberts, W8UV, who's an extra. And I actually didn't write it down, but this is one that came in all electronically. And it is James Hevner, HE, and his call sign is KJ4CYP. And I did not write down what level he is.
I think he was in my technician class.
Oh, no, license is a general.
Okay.
So he may have been in your class and he passed both tests.
Could be.
So those are the 3 that we have for tonight. Can I get a motion to accept these 3?
Motion.
Anybody second?
Yeah, I
Second.
agree.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And congratulations to the new members. And Ken, let's make sure we let them know they're in the club.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I guess that opens the door for reports. I got a quick report for you. We had a silent key who's been had a couple of several years who called the daughter called us and said she had a bunch of equipment. So she doesn't want to give it to the club, but she wanted to offer it to the club members if they were interested in it. So if you all go to the website for the club, you'll see a link on there to get to an outside page that has all pictures of her equipment listed. If you're interested in anything on there, just give her a call, and I'm sure she'll be glad to meet with you. And prices are negotiable. You know, it's a deal where she just wants to get rid of the stuff. So, you know, be sure to make an offer if it's something you want. Remember, we still have stuff in our storage locker that's for sale, including the Yezu 1000, whatever it was that we got last time. That's up for grabs if somebody wants to make an offer on it. I think that's pretty much the gist of what I had on that. So anybody else have any reports? Please speak up. No reports tonight?
Forget about the tailgate party tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you tell us about it?
I think it starts at 8. Is that the set? Is it? I'll have to check.
It begins at 8.
Okay. And it's free to anybody that comes. If you got anything to sell, got to bring your own tables, what have you. And hope it's at the Hermitage. Somebody fill me in.
Masonic Temple.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Masonic Temple. Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
guys, when I didn't know about the tailgate meeting, could I be put on some sort of mailing list so I know when it's going to occur?
Yeah, the club didn't advertise it really. It's not one of our activities. We were invited to participate, but who knows who put it on? So,
Hey, it's the Central Virginia 6-meter sideband net group that does that.
Gene does it, W4YSP.
Okay, so he solely does it, but he does it under that club name, I guess, right?
It's under the club, I believe,
Yeah.
but he's the one that does it every year. He's affiliated with the building there.
yeah, well, if I get notices from him, I'll try to, in the future, I'll try to put him in a newsletter. But the way it worked out this time, we didn't get it into the newsletter. So I guess that's the only report we have for tonight. Let's go ahead and do. Rick, did you have a show and tell?
Yeah, I have, it's called a Tani SA spectrum analyzer. But I think it's based on the Nano VNA. It's designed by a Dutch amateur, and it covers from 100 kilohertz to 960 megahertz. It has a high quality input for 100 kilohertz to 300 megahertz and a lower quality one up to 960. Right now, what you're seeing is the whole range. And what you're seeing on the antenna side is the FM broadcast signals. But you can spread it out, of course, to get a closer look. It also is a signal generator at all those frequencies. It's sine wave below 300 and square waves above. And also is fairly accurately calibrated for measuring signal strength and dBm and any volts and whatever else you want to measure it in. It has limitations. Some people say it can be overloaded, but it has built-in attenuators, and if you use an external attenuator, you can use it. It has the smallest resolution bandwidth is 2.7 kilohertz, which would mean you couldn't use it to do things like a two-tone test on sideband, which they usually have a resolution bandwidth of 10 hertz. But it's for $50. I got mine from R&L Electronics, and they are selling the authentic version of it. And there are several Chinese knockoffs that might be available from Ali or whatever it's called that don't work. So if anyone wants to get one of these, I would get it from R&L Electronics. So it's kind of a neat little toy.
Looks interesting.
Yeah. I also got a vintage 1961 Geiger counter. I won't show you that unless someone's interested in it. It still works.
All right, I have one too. I wanted to show. I don't know if you all were around when we were talking about this last time, but I sent for I wanted a little all band radio that I could use, carry around or whatever, take in the bedroom and things at night. And that we found one and ordered it on through PayPal. I think it was on eBay, if I remember right. No, it wasn't eBay, it was Amazon. Anyway, we got a notice back from it was ordered from a Chinese company. We got a notice back saying that it would be about 6 weeks before we got it. And they sent us a tracking number. So about 5 weeks into the deal, we get an envelope with a feather dust, a little duster in it. It's supposed to be a good luck duster from the Chinese. So it had the tracking number on it that they had sent us. So we said, gee guys, we've been ripped off here. So my daughter went ahead and canceled the PayPal payment. Well, about a week later, this showed up, and we had to turn the payment back on, obviously. But what this is an all band radio. It goes from the below the AM broadcast band. I think it's down to 200 hertz, all the way up to through FM broadcast, and it does single sideband, both upper and lower sideband. It has a BFO in for CW, and pretty much a general coverage receiver
to that
for about
machine. I had done
$50.
it, so I just signed in here.
Somebody's got their mic turned on. Anyway, it runs about $50 if you buy it through Amazon. It's not a radio that you want to use as your primary receiver, but in emergency conditions, in the car, there's a backup. If you want to monitor something, it's probably a good little receiver. I've been using it, listening to shortwave broadcasts, international shortwave broadcasts and things at night. When I couldn't sleep, and it works fine for that. It comes with this little antenna. Oh, not my camera now.
Hey, can you give us the model number again?
Yeah, I got to fix my camera in a minute. I just saw I knocked it down.
Sure.
It doesn't actually have a make or a model number on it. That's the problem. It's something with one chip in it, and it looks like it was something that was just built by somebody, but they're selling them. I mean, you'll see them all over Amazon.
What should the search term be? Because you're now teasing me.
Well, it's a good question. I think I'd search for all band radios. I think that's
Okay.
what we search for. Anyway, it's an interesting little radio. Let me see if I can get my camera to come back on.
John is teasing me because now I can't find it. Shortwave all band radio on Amazon.
I'll try to find some information and put it up on the website if somebody's actually interested in it.
I am.
Okay.
John, didn't you send out an email about that?
Yeah. I think I did.
If you find that, I'll look for it.
Okay. I'm having a problem getting my camera back on here, guys.
How much did you pay for it? That may help.
$50. $50.
$50.
I mean, and some change, of course.
Right. Okay.
See if that's it in chat.
Okay, well, I guess we better go on with the meeting while I try to fix my camera. This camera has a habit, if you knock it over, it quits on you. Tonight's, is there any other business that we need to attend to before I go to our guest speaker for tonight?
Just let me make one more comment about the PayPal.
Sure.
What we ended up having to do, just so everybody's aware, we had to change all the forms so that you actually fill the form out online. There's a submit button now at the bottom, and that sends an email to a group of people, depends upon what we're doing. So that when if we create a roster for a class, I don't have to type your name, your email address, or nobody has to at this point, which means we have less errors, and we normally then will get the information correct. We did have one person who gave us a phone number, and it turned out they gave us they gave us an email address, which turned out to be invalid. Basically, they gave us an old carrier. For the front part was correct, but the back part was wrong. But that should clear up a lot of problems that we have in reading handwriting and things of that nature. So just be aware that you need to fill out the information that's on the form correctly. And as I say, we then get an electronic copy of it, which makes it a lot easier to deal with, no matter how you pay, whether you pay with a check or if you pay with PayPal. Either way, we still get an electronic version of the form you filled out.
Okay, good. And Ken, I want to thank you again, and you and Bruce both, for the amount of time and work you all put in on that project. So I think we talked about that last time, but anyway, we do appreciate what you did. So,
Well,
okay,
it was a fun thing to do. We'll put it that way.
well, it was time we did it. So, you know, something the members wanted. So now you have it. Okay. So if there's no other business for tonight, let's go ahead and get to our speaker for tonight. We have Alan K, AG4VA, who's going to talk to us tonight about Summits on the Air. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Alan.
Well, thank you very much. Let me share the screen and make sure you can see that all right. And are you guys hearing me all right as well?
Yes.
Okay, well, my name is Alan Graves. My call sign's AG4VA. I've been a licensed amateur radio operator since 1984. And I got interested in Summits on the Air when I was in Iceland in 2019. I was looking at some of the summits when I was traveling around the country. The background screen I have here on my desktop is in the northern part of Iceland. And I was wondering why people don't take their radios up to these beautiful mountain peaks and operate. And I came back to the States and did some research and found that there was a program called Summits on the Air. And I got involved in August of 2019. And since then, over the last, I guess, 19 months now, I've made 102 summits on the activation here in Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. So this is the Summits on the Air website. Any Google search of Summits on the Air will pull it up, but it's soda.org.uk. And there are a tremendous number of resources here. And I won't go over them all, but just a few. If you're new to SOTA, it was designed for everybody to participate. It's designed for amateur radio operators, both as a chaser. If you hear somebody on a summit and you're in your shack, you're considered a chaser. So it's designed for everybody who wants to chase. You don't need to go to a mountaintop to be involved in Summits on the Air. It's also available for shortwave listeners. You don't even need to have an amateur radio license if you want to be involved in Summits on the Air. So they're shortwave listeners, they're the chasers, anybody who's in their shack or mobile, and basically anybody who's a chaser is anybody who's not in the activation zone, which we'll get into in a moment. And of course, the activators, the folks who are actually on the mountain peaks activating the summit. So those are the three ways you can be involved in SOTA, activator, chaser, or shortwave listener. And most of what I'm going to talk about is activating and chasing this evening, since we're all amateur radio operators. The joining in screen here on the website covers a lot of information about chasing, about activating, the awards. They have an award for activators called Mountain Goat. When you get 1,000 points in the program, you can achieve the Mountain Goat Award for activating. They also have one for chasing from your shack or outside the activation zone called the Shack Sloth Award, and that's for 1,000 chaser points. We'll get into the points a little bit more here in a moment. So all of this information here, the beginnings of soda is pretty in depth here. I'm just going to hit on a few highlights. It started in Europe and Great Britain in March 2nd of 2002. And it kind of grew and worked in Europe for, I guess, about the first decade, and came to the United States about 10 years ago, and has spread to more than 100 countries around the world today. The management team of Soda is listed here. They have a lot of great people who work on the website, the database. John here, John Linford, is the founder and president of Soda. And I think he stepped back recently, but they have quite a great management team. The guy, the database manager, Andy, he put together a database which is able to keep track of the millions of Soda contacts around the world and grow as Soda grows. So if you're interested, I would encourage you to read this over at your leisure. The online resources here, there are 6 main areas. There's the database, where you log all your contacts. There's the Soda Watch, where you can see where future activations are going to happen, or activations that are happening right now in real time. They have a great reflector where you can ask questions and get answers. The reflector is great because oftentimes there've been so many topics discussed on the reflector at this point. Usually you can find an answer without having to ask. But if you do ask, you will get a response from the folks around the world on the reflector. They have a shop, the lower left-hand corner. You can buy the awards if you've achieved them, if that's something that you're interested in Soda. They have a great photograph site. The Flickr photo pool shows you a lot of photographs of what people are doing on summits around the world. It's a great place to look and see how people may go about activating summits, and they have a great mapping project. The database, all of these sites require a login, and the upper right-hand screen, part of this screen, you'll see A.B. Graves. I'm currently logged in. First time you go here, there'll be a link where you can click and sign up for an account. And this is where you would log your results if you're participating in the program. So if I've worked a summit, I would go down here to the summit log and put in a summit activator entry. And the entries are by association. And here in Virginia, we are the Whiskey 4V for Virginia. And there are 9 regions here in Virginia for the Soda summits. There are about 542 summits in Virginia. Activated quite a few summits in the Shenandoah National Park. Hawksbill and Stony Man are 2 of the highest peaks in the Shenandoah National Park. You just enter in your call sign that you used, a date, a nice handy calendar comes up. The Soda log is by UTC time. If I work Mike, W4, MAF on, we work a lot of 2 meters on summits here in Central Virginia, work him on FM, and you just add that QSO to the log and so on and so forth. It takes 4 contacts to claim the points for a Soda activation. And you do the same in the database. If you had chased somebody on a summit, you would go to the summit chaser log and enter in that information. And actually somebody who is not even an amateur radio operator here could enter in a entry. So if you have maybe somebody who's a youthful people, maybe they don't have a license yet, who are interested in Soda, they could participate in this program as well. The reflector that I talked about has a tremendous amount of information on Soda and various topics. And I didn't realize these guys had posted this because I was indeed trying to fly under the radar, but I only saw this before the meeting because I was checking out the reflector. Somebody posted that that I had achieved mountain goat AG4VA. Apparently, I was the latest USA mountain goat 133. I really didn't say a lot about it. I was trying to fly under the radar because I think to me, it's really more about the chasers than anything I've ever done in the program. But it was kind of them to put a note on that, on the reflector about that. And I'm glad I was invited to give this talk this evening. I probably would have missed that and not had a chance to thank them. But it's kind of them to do that. But the reflector has a tremendous amount of data. And there actually is one other additional site that takes all of the information from the database and presents it in I think it's a more pleasing graphical database. You can find that if you go to Google and just search the SOTA Atlas, it'll pull up this website. And you can get a free account on the SOTA Atlas as well, just like any Summits on the Air account. It's all free, and they don't take your email address and share it with the world, so you're safe. You're not going to get a lot of junk mail. But the SOTA Atlas is a great reference. Your page, it summarizes all your results. You can see I've gotten 1,016 points with SOTA. The 174 bonus points here in Virginia. There's a bonus season from December 1st to March 15th. They award 3 extra points for activating summits during the time of the year when it's a little more difficult to get up to a summit because of the weather or the cold. And I've activated, I guess, almost 60, a little less than 60 summits during that bonus season in the winter. It's also a nice time to hike because there aren't a lot of bugs and ticks and biting insects that time of year. So also here you can see I've done 102 summit activations. I've done 22 this year. So far I've done 75 unique, and I continue to go out and do more and more unique summits. Just after you do a number of summits, you have to drive further and further to find unique summits, but I continue to travel about and activate. The graph here, it shows you the activations per year. I did 8 in 2019 when I got started. I did 72 last year, and so far this year I've done 22. It has a really nice map that shows you the distribution of the summits that you've been on. These are the pinpoint of the 72 summits I've activated so far. And if you zoom in, it gives you the actual names of the summit. And this is one reason I really like this SOTA Atlas. It presents the information for the summits in really a great way. And here's Stony Man in the Shenandoah National Park. If you click on that summit, it pulls up a page about Stony Man. You can see that there have been 114. You see the little red circle. The red circles are the highest valued summits in Virginia. They're 10 points. The points for the summit range from 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest value summit. Of course, Stony Man during that bonus season from December 1st to March 15th each year, you would be awarded 3 additional points for the bonus season. But the red summit is 10 points, it's the highest. You can see up here at the top, it tells you it's 10 points during most of the year, 3 points during the bonus season. It gives you the elevation. It shows you that I've actually chased 17 chases by me. I've chased people who have activated that summit on 17 different occasions now. I live in Ivy between Charlottesville and Crozet. So Stony Man's about 35 miles due north of my shack. And I can work people on that summit when they activate with an HT, really have a almost line of sight to Stony Man. This website compiles the data, so you can see that I've activated Stony Man. It was the first activation I did August 19th. I did the Mountain Goat Summit on Stony Man back on March 22nd. It shows you here all the chases that I've done for Stony Man. And then down here, all of the logged activations, various people who have done that summit. And there's a page for each and every, you see every dot on this map. I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit. And you can see what the world looks like based on the SOTA summits. Again, red being the highest, and dark green are just the 1-point summits. You'll see that really in the English-speaking world, probably every country is represented. It's big in Japan, Australia, Argentina, Canada, Europe, a lot of summits in Europe. I think there are 150 summits around the world. And of course, a lot of the third world countries just aren't part of the program at this point in time, but who knows, one day. I know there are a lot of wonderful high peaks in Ecuador, but as you can see, there's blank on the map. There's nothing there for summits on the air. But fortunately, we live in an area that is rich. There's about 542 summits in Virginia. As I said, you can see the color coding here, the distribution of the various summits. There are a lot just south of me that are 10-point summits down in Nelson County, the Priest and Mount Pleasant. A lot of these are nice hikes, not that long, and close to easily accessible roads. One interesting feature of this SOTA Atlas is over here on the right, there's a couple of tools. If you're wondering how long your hike might be to a summit, there's a little tool over here, and you can click, and you can take your time and do every little curve in the hike if you want. But just a general idea, you can stretch this out to a hike to the summit and see that you might hike about 3.5 miles to this particular summit. But one of the interesting things, if you hit enter, it gives you a profile of the summit. I measured about 3.5 miles from that road hike into the summit, obviously 7 miles a round trip, but it gives you an idea how much of the elevation gain you'll have in this particular summit. So there's a lot of great tools with this SOTA Atlas. Mike was kind enough to invite me here tonight. If you put Mike's call sign in, W4MAF, you can see Mike has got 163 points now, 21 bonus season points. So Mike has activated 7 summits during the bonus season. You can see all of the summits listed here that Mike has worked. And if you're logged in, you can click on the QSOs and see the totality of the log. Mike worked me. I worked Mike first when he was on Flagpole, March 26th. And you can scroll down, you can see Mike also works in 20 meters. Oh, Mike was working a little 2-meter single sideband, pretty cool. So those are all the listings of the folks. And you want to see what anybody else has done in the program, you just click on their call sign and it would pull up a page of all their information. One thing I pulled up before I got started, I thought you might be interested in the summits database, the totality of the figures. I think some of it's interesting in the fact that, you know, many people say that CW is dead or dying, but if you look at this number here, there's been almost 3 million logged CW contacts in the Summits on the Air program. That's more than single sideband and more than FM. Of course, phone takes it if you add those two together and say phone, but I would say CW is still a very, very popular mode in Summits on the Air. 7 meters and 14 meters for HF are the two most popular. VHF 2 meters is a very, very popular band here in Central Virginia and certainly over in the Shenandoah Valley. I would not hesitate to go activate a summit and not let anybody know, because I'm sure I would get enough contacts on 2 meters here. There are enough people listening that I would feel confident about not putting out a spot or an alert. And I'm going to talk about that spot and the alert here in just a second. One really interesting statistic we found down here is the 220 megahertz band. Mike and I and Lenny and 4LXP, the three of us have taken 220 megahertz kind of under our wing to give it a little bit of attention. We saw back, I guess it was about August when we first started talking about it, there were only 866 contacts logged with 220 megahertz in the Summits on the Air program. So we've added about 200 contacts to the 220 megahertz database in about the last 6 months. So we're trying to give that band a little bit of attention. One of the things I talked about were the spots and the alerts up here at the top of the web page. You'll see spots listed and alerts. If you're logged into this site and you're planning on doing a summit, you can announce your intentions right here on this website. So you'll see Friday in Japan, there's a gentleman who's going to activate the summit, 2 more here in the States and another in Japan on Friday. And then Saturday, you'll see all these down here. This is everything that's going on tomorrow for Summits on the Air. All these folks have already listed a summit that they're going to activate tomorrow. I keep scrolling down. I keep seeing Saturday. Here we go. Finally, there's Sunday. So that's a lot of folks who are going to go out tomorrow around the world, predominantly here in the United States, and are going to be activating a summit. So an alert is a way to let people know about your future activity in SOTA. And I've seen alerts out as far as a year. I don't think there's a limit to how far out. Right now, this only goes as far as April 17th, but I think you can put it out to any length in the future you want. And then a spot, when you're on a summit, you can alert and let people know that you are on the summit, activating right here, right now, and people will get on the air and they will work you. Let's see, the time now is 23:41 Zulu, so this is up to date as of 23:36. There's a gentleman in Whiskey 4 Charlie, that would be the Carolinas, is activating a summit down there, 14 megahertz, 20 meter band. If anybody wanted to tune in right now, you could chase somebody on that summit on the 20 meter band right now. And I have used this when I've been activating. I was on, if we go back to that map, I was up in Pennsylvania, and I'm gonna click, well, let's do Maryland. I was in Maryland. I was on the Marsh Hill Summit in Western Maryland, and I activated that summit. You see back here, October 14th. I drove up there on a fall foliage tour, and I wanted to activate the summit. Now, down here in the Shenandoah Valley, as I said, I would not hesitate to go up on the summit and call CQ SOTA on 2 meters, because I would get 4 people. But this was a new area to me, and I put out the call on the summit, CQ, Summits on the Air, AG4VA, and I heard crickets. I didn't hear anything. So no problem. I put out my 20 meter antenna. I put out a spot on SOTA Watch, and you will see that I got this pileup from putting out. These are all the people that are ready to pounce on a summit and chase at any given time. You'll see at 17:39, I got the first contact, Whiskey 6 Juliet Papa. Probably, I don't know for sure, but I'd say by the call sign, he's in California. And then you'll see how tight the times are together. You'll see for the next 11 minutes, I worked all these stations. I had a pileup from putting out that spot on SOTA Watch to let people know I was on summit. And even our good friend Chris in France, Foxtrot 4, Whiskey Bravo November, he is always chasing from the summits. You put out a spot, and if he can get you from France on 20 meters, he's always booming in. I don't know what kind of station he has, but he must have a pretty good beam antenna. And surprisingly, he's always giving back fairly good reports. And I'm just using a 20 meter linked dipole, little piece of wire, 10, 12 feet off the ground. And he's always giving me great reports. So the equipment that I use on summits, you see, I've got a picture of my rig here that I use when I go up. Are we doing good on time?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. This is what I use, a Yaesu 857D. And let me see, I messed up this slide here. Let me undo that, and maybe this will settle back down. Okay, here we go. So here I am set up to do a summit on 2 meters. I can tell by the frequency readout there, but I use a Yaesu 857D because it gives me everything in HF from 160 meters to 10. It gives me 6 meters, 2 meters, and 440. And I get HF at 100 watts, and I get VHF at 50. I use Dakota lithium LiPo 4 batteries. They are 12 volt, 7 amp hour batteries. I could probably really just use one 7 amp hour battery on a summit. Here I'm using 2 tied in parallel, and they're fairly light as far as batteries go. They're, I guess, a little over 2 pounds each, and they tend to be a little bit more, well, they're a lot more expensive than the sealed lead acid battery. Those 2 batteries there are about $110, $120 for the 2 of them. I've used them now on about, I think I got them after I did about 2 summits. So I've used them on about 100 summits now. And the great thing about those batteries, they don't just fall right off the cliff like a sealed lead acid battery. They have a flat curve when it comes to the voltage drop. So you can really use, they say that, you know, they're twice the capacity and half the weight. And that extra capacity comes from the fact that you can really get just about most of what they have in them before they die on you completely. I take a Yaesu HD handheld with me. I'm always listening to maybe a repeater, an adjacent repeater for safety. I can also send out a text message with that HT via APRS, and I can put out an announcement that I am on a summit just from that HT, times when I don't have cell phone coverage. Because with your cell phone, they have 2 apps, one for Android, one for the iPhone. I have an Android phone, so over on the left, I use the Soda Spotter. If you have cell phone coverage when you're doing a summit, you can send out a spot that will show up on that web page that I was showing you over here. It'll show up as a spot right here, and you can let people know that you're on a summit and ready to go. And that's how I got that pileup in Western Maryland back in October. I just sent out a spot on my cell phone because I had good cell phone coverage on that mountain peak, but I was not hearing anybody on 2 meters. So I went to 20 meters. I sent out a spot. And as soon as I send out a spot, I just start calling CQ, 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 summits on the air. As soon as I let go of the microphone, boom, people are coming in, and I had a pile up. Similar program over on the right side for the iPhone, the Soda Goat. It's a great app. It lets you know when you're in the activation zone on a summit. The activation, excuse me, the activation zone for any summit is 82 feet from the top. So you don't have to be right on the tippy top of the summit. You can be anywhere from the top down to 82 feet below the summit. And that is the activation zone. Some of the other great apps for your cell phone, I sometimes use the ham GPS. I'll put in the GPS coordinates of the summit. And this helps me a little bit in the woods trying to find a summit. Some of the summits don't have a trail all the way to the top. So sometimes you have to go off on your own and bushwhack. So the ham GPS on your cell phone is a great tool. However, I always suggest and strongly recommend that everybody always take a compass with you when you're hiking and a topo map. I'll show you how to print one out here in a second, but never completely rely on your cell phone when you're out in the woods. Having a compass and knowing how to use it is a good backup. Some of us run APRS when we're doing the summit, so people know where we are, how soon or how long it may be before we're activating a summit. So this is another great application for your cell phone. Also run APRS on my HT. So I'm running two APRS trackers at the same time. And I don't actually wear a wristwatch. So I run the ham clock on my cell phone. So I am able to log the time accurately. There's another application called the Soda Finder. You can use this to, it takes the location where you are at any point in time, like right now, and it shows you all of the summits around you based on the how far away they are. And the repeater book, which I think we're all familiar with, is a great tool on your cell phone because it takes, again, your location where you are currently right now in time, and it shows you what repeaters are closest to you. So rather than just a big list and you have to figure out where the repeaters are located, this, repeater book app is really a great tool because it shows you what repeaters you might be able to hit at any given time. One of the setups here, I was on Hogback Mountain back in the winter. Let's see where that particular summit is. Here we go. I was up on Hogback Mountain back in the winter on a cold day. And this is how it was spread out for the setup. I put my Yaesu 857D in a plastic food container. It fits perfectly into a 1 gallon container, and I seal that up with the lid. If I ever get caught out in a rainstorm, or God forbid, I cross a stream and go swimming, it will mostly protect my rig. So I try to prepare for that. You see the battery set up there. The antenna I use for 2 meters, I've been using an Arrow antenna. The antenna on the left, the boom on the left in this picture is the Arrow antenna. You can find that on the internet by just searching Arrow antenna. The elements are actually arrow shafts, which is where they get the name for this antenna. But that boom comes apart in 3 pieces, and the antenna elements unscrew right at the beam and come apart. So you wind up with 8 pieces of antenna and 3 pieces of boom that fits together in that collapses down into my backpack very nicely so I can hike it to the summit. The pole is a telescopic graphite pole. I bought it from a site in the United Kingdom called Soda Beams. The gentleman who started the Summits on the Air program has a little side business, and he sells things like this telescopic pole for Summits on the Air activation. And that's very light. I use it more for this 2 meter antenna than I do for the HF antennas, just because I predominantly activated more with VHF than I have with HF so far. But this will stretch up to about 18 feet tall. And with the dipole antenna I have, I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. It's rolled up. It's kind of hard to show a dipole stretched out, but I'll show you what it looks like rolled up here in a second. But this one telescopic pole can support my link dipole, which is 40 meters, 30 meters, and 20 meters. You change the length of it just by little alligator clips. And I can support the center of that antenna with this telescopic pole stretched out. I can also support the 2 meter antenna that you see here at the same time on one pole. And I use some guy ropes. There's a little pipe piece lower down this, this telescopic pole that I use to, I can put stakes in the ground or tie to trees on the summit. And that's what I use for the 2 meter and HF. The other antenna here offset is sometimes, as I said, we've been taking the 220 band to the summit and using that for Summits on the Air activation. So I just built a little offset piece of pipe to mount this, this 220 megahertz Arrow antenna on the, again, on the same mast. So I can carry all these on one single mast. And I wouldn't necessarily route my coax this way, but this was just kind of a picture for illustrative purposes for the two antennas. This is a picture of the plastic food container that I put my Yaesu 857D in, the coax wire, my power cords you see here are the shafts of the antenna. And this over here rolled up is the link dipole, 40, 30, and 20 meters. If I get the center up about 18 feet and get it stretched out and put out an alert, I have never so far, never failed to get a pileup of folks. Usually get France, Chris in France, Spain, and a lot of folks out on the West Coast. So that antenna works really, really good. Here's a setup down near the peaks of Otter back in July, just set up on this rock at the peak. You can see I've got that little piece of pipe in the middle of the telescopic pole with my guy ropes coming off. And most summits here in Virginia, you'll find some trees or places where you can tie the guy ropes quite easily if you're setting up an antenna like this, or even if you're doing HF and using a dipole, usually you can throw a rope up over a branch and you don't even need a telescopic pole if you're working HF. So that's how it was set up on that particular summit. And always, like I said, always hike with a compass. This is the type I use. I always like to look toward equipment for multiple uses. A lot of people don't like this type of compass with this mirror, but I like it because if you ever get a gnat in your eye and you're about an hour away from your car, it's great to flip open your compass and use this to fish a gnat out of your eye, so it has multiple uses. And I wanted to show you one other thing. We still doing good on time?
Yeah, you okay?
Okay. I wanted to show you one other thing on summits, just talking about safety and always hiking with a map. Back to the SOTA Atlas, there are a tremendous number of tools here, and I didn't hit on all of them, but one I want to show you for safety is that if you pull up a summit like this one in the Shenandoah National Park, Stony Man, and you click on open, you'll see a lot of resources here. The CalTopo maps, you could do a Google map to help you get to the trailhead. But one, the CalTopo, I find to be really, really helpful. And despite all the features and things you can click on here, I usually ignore all that. And I go right to the top here and I click on print PDF. And what this does, it pulls up the summit and you have this little overlay of this red rectangular square. And what I do before I go to a summit, I drag this out here on the map, and you'll see right here in the middle is Stony Man. And here is the trail hiking up to Stony Man from the parking lot. And I'll try to encompass the summit and a couple of features like the Skyline Drive. And then I click over here on the lower left to generate PDF. And what happens is this pulls up a custom topographic map for the summit that I'm going to activate that day. I print this out and I take it hiking with me along with the compass, because you always have to be aware when you're hiking for safety that the conditions can change. I may go up to Stony Man on a clear day, and for whatever reason, a storm comes up and it gets foggy and I can't see 10 feet in front of me. But if I have this topographic map and I've lost the trail, I can take a compass bearing over here and say, well, here's the Skyline Drive. If I keep hiking east, I'm going to run into the Skyline Drive at some point, and that's a way I could safely exit the summit if I had to. So, and right down here in the lower right-hand corner, it gives you the local declination. So it shows you that magnetic north is negative 10 degrees off of true north. So it tells you exactly what the declination is here for this point in Virginia. In that little Q square there, you can click on, you can turn your camera on your cell phone, click on that square, and you can pull this map up on your cell phone. So you can have it not only printed out and in your pocket in a sealed Ziploc bag so it doesn't get wet if it rains. And you can also have this map on your cell phone. So I try to always encourage people to go to the SOTA Atlas and to the California Topo and print out a custom map for your hike because it's a safety issue. One last thing, if you click on Google Maps, it'll bring up the summit, which doesn't really tell you a whole lot initially, but if you want to know how to get to Stony Man, I would click on directions and just put in your local zip code. Mine is 22901. Well, that's actually Charlottesville. And it'll give you the map and how long it may take for me from my location to drive to Stony Man. So it's about an hour and a half to Stony Man. And if I was going to tell somebody, if I was planning to go do Stony Man in the Shenandoah National Park, I would look at this. I would look at this map. It's about an hour and a half. I'd allow a 2-hour drive, and then I know it won't take an hour to hike to the summit of Stony Man, but I would allow about 3 hours. So if I was going to leave home at noon, I would tell people that I would be live on the summit about 3 p.m. and I know I could be pretty close to that. And you can tell with a hike like the Stony Man that it's not that far. Again, if we went to the tool and just measured the distance up to this summit, we would see that Stony Man is only about a little more than half a mile. It's not a long hike and not a lot of elevation gain. So you can be pretty sure of that time estimate. Because if you're going to go activate a summit, you want to let your Richmond Club friends know that you're going to be there. You'd like to tell them a time that's fairly accurate. So you have the tools here at your disposal to really get pretty close to the time you're going to be on summit. And I think that was all the things I wanted to cover. I always enjoy the scenery here in Virginia. This was hiking up to Seven Ridges in Nelson County into May last year. The rhododendrons are just starting to bloom. Harkening Hill down in the Peaks of Otter is a beautiful summit. Not a great height. Here in Virginia, there are a couple summits you can drive up to. You have to be completely portable on a summit to be legal for SOTA. You can drive up to the summit, but then you've got to get out of your vehicle and you have to be completely separated from your vehicle. You can't have your antenna on your vehicle. You can't use the battery from the vehicle, but you can drive up and step away from your car and you'd be legal to activate a summit. And I think it was White Mountain down western part of Virginia. Beautiful. Again, this was a drive up summit, and just drive up, park, get out of your car and set up. Perfectly legal for the activation. One down in Nelson County, that white stripe on the rock there denotes the Appalachian Trail. I was set up for 2 meters. It was windy. You can see I have the front of the beam with some guy ropes on it just to keep this from acting like a weather vane because the wind was blowing so hard. So that is a good overview of SOTA, and I hope to hear some of you on the summits activating or chasing. I know Mike has been very, very active with SOTA. You get a lot of opportunities to hear Mike on the summit. So that's my overview. Do you folks have any questions about summits on the air?
Alan.
Go ahead.
Alan?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. With your setup, with your battery setup, how long can you operate?
I was up on Elliott's Knob in Augusta County, sitting on the fire tower last May. And I was trying to work a gentleman down in North Carolina. So I turned it up to 50 watts and I forgot it. And I actually did the whole activation over about 90 minutes at 50 watts VHF. And I had used about half of the capacity of the battery. And I measured the battery after that when I was back in the shack. And it took about guess about 3 hours of operating before I drain the battery. So I guess I've got twice that with the 2 batteries. So for 12 volts, 7 amp hours, I can easily work on the Summit for more than 90 minutes and still be transmitting strong.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Go ahead, other question.
Okay, well, Alan, I definitely appreciate you jumping in here. It's been a good presentation. So a lot of people were interested in this, and appreciate you coming in on kind of short notice too. So, and for Mike to have made the contact for us. So, assuming nobody else has any questions, I want to thank you again for the presentation and on behalf of the club.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me to make this presentation tonight, and certainly an honor and a privilege to be here. So thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed this.
We would definitely thank you. I have some information about the little Chinese radio if anybody wants it. I talked to my daughter and she pulled up the original order. We got it from eBay. If you want to find them, Google letter S as in Sam, letter I as in India, 4732 all band receiver. And you should find a dozen different outlets that are selling these things at slightly different prices, anywhere from $50 to $75. I would, if I were you, I would advise that you buy these from somebody that through somebody like Amazon or PayPal or something, where if it doesn't show up, you can get your money back. I don't know if I do a direct transaction with any of these companies. The set appears to be, from what I can see on the internet, made by a company called Banggood, Banggood, but not sure if that's actually the manufacturer's name or just one of the distribution people. When it was shipped to me, it was shipped out of Atlanta, Georgia. So apparently it's coming from China to Atlanta, Georgia, and they're shipping them to the United States out of Georgia. So that's the information if anybody's interested in that little radio. Does anyone have any other business for tonight? If not, then I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to go ahead and close the meeting. I thank you all for attending tonight, and I definitely thank our presenter for tonight, Alan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Anybody motion to close the meeting?
I move that we adjourn. Thank you
Mike?
very much, Alan.
Anyone else? Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hey, good night, everybody, and thank you again.
Good night.
Thank y'all.
Stay well, John.
Good night.
Hey, let's.
Will we be leaving this open for